All right, check, check, check. Are we here? Yes, we are. All right, so listen, I want to do this YouTube channel just to show how my process works with the leather, with me making and designing my leather products, my bags, my wallets, all the things. But I don't want it to be like this perfectly curated, like thought out YouTube video or content on YouTube, if you will. I kind of want it to be spur of the moment, what I want to record right now type of thing, and just be transparent with you on how I make my things, what materials I use, and where I get my materials and all those types of things. Also, YouTube is how I learned this craft. So I want to give back. Like, I'm a self-taught leather worker, and I learned from watching YouTube videos from like Quarter Leather, Little King Goods, and like the big top dogs, you know? I guess they're top dogs, I don't know. But they, you know, they've taught me a lot, especially Quarter Leather. So I want to get back and start recording my stuff for you guys too. So without further ado, let's get into the video. And today I need to not redesign, but this is a prototype, and I want to make the real thing today with a couple of tweaks, modifications, whatever. So that's what we're gonna do today. Okay, so first I want to pick out a zipper that is better looking than this one, because again, this was just a prototype. And what I have is this brown with brass, and I also have this black with brass. So we're gonna choose one of these. And funny enough, the idea was in my head, but when I made it, I just kind of drew out dimensions on a napkin. And this is just kind of how I roll sometimes, and there are no rules. Okay, I'm thinking a pebbled black, a medium temper, or a smooth medium temper black. All right, so we've got our pieces here. They're not perfectly cut yet. I'm gonna go with the black zipper since we're doing like a pebbled black medium temper. This is a 3 ounce. It's pretty thin, but I'm gonna go ahead and make it and just see how it turns out, because it is a pretty small bag. It's supposed to be pliable, you know? All right, marking out where I'm gonna cut my pieces so that I can fold it into the bag. Okay, now I need to do this curve here, but I want it to be a little bit different. So I'm gonna try and like sketch that out onto here and kind of play around with it for a minute. All right, this is what we have. Thinking that's pretty good. It's not as like steep, which is what I wanted, right? There you go. Yeah, a little bit more subtle, which is what I was going for. So let's see if we can do the other side the same. There we have it. All right, now I'm gonna finish up the edges before we start putting it together. And then also, I'm gonna have to make some little ends for these, for the zipper, some stoppers. All right, this design requires the edges to be finished ahead of time, so I'm burnishing the edges that are gonna be exposed, just like that. And I'm using, of course, Tokodol, like we all do. So I'm gonna stitch these overlapping each other. So this edge doesn't need to be done, but this edge and one over here, like that. And these top edges right here. All right, I have last minute decided that I wanna line it with this goat suede, so I traced out the pattern and now I'm gonna cut it out with some scissors. These are like some really heavy duty scissors. So let's cut this thing out. All right, I'm back and I've got the interior stitched up, the lining. I'm just gonna like drop it in and sew it in with the zipper after I'm done. But now we're going to, I've got all the edges finished. Now we're gonna have to punch the holes and stitch her up before we can drop the lining in. And I did get the zipper ready. However, I might have to use a different zipper. So I've got the zipper stops on there. I haven't stitched them in yet just because I don't know if I need to use a different, like a longer zipper. Somehow this turned out longer than I envisioned, not as like short as this one. So I don't know how that happened, but you know what? These things happen when you're working with leather and you're designing your own products. So yeah, let's get this baby stitched up. Now we gotta stitch the other side and then we'll do the corners and then the lining. All right, I always back stitch at least 3 stitches. That's 1, 2, and 3. We're gonna go at the top here. Looking good, yeah? All right, as much as I want to use this zipper, it's not gonna work, so I have to resort to this one. Yeah, so we're gonna put this baby in there, punch holes through these and fix her up. But oh, before we do that, I need to finish these edges really fast, so let's do that. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer these tabs over to this one. All right, so now we gotta stitch these onto the zipper. Okay, this whole time I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So this actually turned out to be way more complicated than I had expected. But this is how far I've gotten. I just need to stitch in this second side. I always do this to myself. The first time I ever make something, like, here, let me fix this. The first time that I make a new design or something, I always have to do it like backwards or harder than it needs to be. So I think I definitely did that on this. I'm still a newbie with zippers and lining, so I know I went wrong somewhere. However, I did get the job done. I just made it way harder than it had to be. But man, this is how I learn though. I make stuff, I learn lessons from it, and I go back and make it in a different way or an easier way or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna stitch this up real quick and then I'll show you the finished product. All right, unfortunately, sometimes things just don't work out the way that you expected them to, and that's okay. But I did finish it. This is what she looks like. Not my best work at all. Definitely a learning experience. And she's lined. This was a pain in the ass. I think I actually like the prototype better. Somehow this ended up just not good at all. This one was definitely much easier to make, but it's also not lined, so I still have some tweaking to do on the design. And thank you guys for watching. If you have any like tips on lining bags with zippers, because I'm still in the newbie part of that, especially with leather. It's like with fabric, I can sew bag linings and zippers. It's the leather that's like tripping me up. So yeah, if you have any tips, let me know.